Would you believe that a single moment from a dog could change the course of a human life? Would you believe that an animal who cannot speak our language can hear the cries that no one else notices? This is the story of Claire, a woman who had silently reached the very edge of her life, a woman who wore a smile in public but carried a storm inside her heart. Claire was in her mid-30s, living in a small house on the outskirts of Portland. She had once been a vibrant person. Full of energy and laughter, she loved her job as a nurse. She had friends who adored her. But life has a way of breaking even the strongest souls in quiet ways. A series of losses, one after another, had hollowed her. She lost her parents in a car accident. Her younger brother moved across the country and rarely called. And the man she thought she'd marry walked away without a word. She came home every night to silence, a silence so heavy it felt like it had a weight. The only thing that kept her going was Luna, a rescued golden retriever she had adopted years ago. Luna was calm, gentle, always by her side. But Claire thought Luna didn't really know how deep her pain ran. She thought no one did. Claire had hidden her sadness from everyone. She put on makeup, smiled at neighbors, even laughed at work. But when she came home, she would collapse on the couch and stare blankly at the walls for hours. Luna would always sit beside her, her warm head resting on Claire's lap. Those brown eyes soft and understanding, but Claire couldn't feel hope anymore. She had convinced herself she was invisible, and one gray November evening, she made a decision. She decided she couldn't do it anymore. She sat in the dim glow of her living room, holding an old photo album, tears streaming down her face. Thinking how her life had become a shadow of what it once was, Luna lay on the rug nearby. Her ears slightly raised as if sensing something different about her owner tonight. Claire whispered softly, almost like a confession. "I'm sorry, Luna. I'm so sorry, but I can't stay here anymore. I can't keep pretending I'm okay." Her voice cracked, and she placed the album down. Her fingers trembling, she walked toward the small drawer in the kitchen where she kept her medication. A plan forming in her mind, she thought no one would notice if she left quietly. No family nearby, no close friends who would come knocking. She thought the world would simply move on without her, but Luna, who had been lying quietly, suddenly got up and followed her. Claire didn't even notice at first. She was lost in her thoughts, her hand already reaching for the drawer. But Luna came closer, nudging her leg gently. Claire pushed her away without looking, her breath shallow and uneven. Luna nudged again, this time harder. Then she let out a soft whimper, a sound Claire had never heard from her before. Claire froze, her hand hovering over the drawer handle. She looked down at Luna, who was now staring straight into her eyes, her body tense. Her head tilted in that way dogs do when they know something is wrong. Claire sighed, tears rolling down her cheeks. She knelt on the floor, wrapping her arms around Luna's neck, whispering, "You don't understand. I can't keep living like this. I'm so tired." Luna didn't move. She just pressed closer, her tail still, her breathing slow and steady. And in that moment, Claire felt something, a flicker of warmth, the faintest reminder that she wasn't truly alone. But the darkness was still heavy, too heavy. She stood up again, taking the bottle from the drawer. Unscrewing the cap with trembling fingers, Luna's eyes followed every move, and then something happened. Something small but powerful. Luna barked, not loud and frantic, but a sharp, intentional bark. One single sound that pierced through the heavy silence. Claire startled, dropping the bottle, pills spilling across the tile floor. She gasped and stepped back, staring at Luna, who was now standing firm, blocking her path, her golden fur illuminated. By the faint kitchen light, Claire's heart pounded in her chest, and for the first time that night, she felt seen. Truly seen, she sank to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Luna came closer, gently licking her hands, resting her head on Claire's lap, and stayed there quietly, as if saying, "I'm here. I'm not leaving you. Not now. Not ever." Claire sat, like that for what felt like hours, her tears falling into Luna's fur, her mind slowly shifting from the finality she had decided on to the soft realization that someone did care, even if that someone couldn't speak. Even if that someone had 4 legs, and in that quiet kitchen on a lonely November night, something began to change. It wasn't hope yet, not fully, but it was a pause pause long enough to stop her from making a mistake she couldn't undo. The next morning, Claire woke up on the couch. Luna curled up beside her, the spilled pills still. Scattered on the kitchen floor, she stared at them, then at Luna, and whispered, "Why did you stop me? How did you know?" Luna wagged her tail softly, her eyes gentle, and Claire felt something unfamiliar in her chest. It wasn't happiness, not yet, but it was a spark, and that spark would soon lead her on a journey she never expected, because what Luna did next in the coming days would not just save Claire's life. It would bring her something she thought she had lost forever, a reason to live. But that part of the story is something you'll want to hear because it will make you believe that dogs truly can save us in ways we can't explain. Before we continue, ask yourself this. Do you believe animals can sense our pain better than humans can? Have you ever looked into your dog's eyes and felt they knew exactly what you were feeling? Because if you have, you'll know this story is far from over, and Luna's true act of love is yet to come. The next morning was heavy, the kind of gray winter morning where even the sun feels tired. Claire sat on the edge of her couch, staring blankly at the wall, her eyes swollen from crying. The half-empty water glass still on the table, the pill bottle still lying open on the floor where it had rolled the night before. But Luna was awake, sitting upright, her gaze fixed entirely on Claire. It wasn't the typical playful gaze of a dog waiting for breakfast. It was intense, almost searching, as if she knew something fragile had shifted overnight. Claire ran her fingers through Luna's soft fur and whispered, "I'm still here because of you, but I don't know why. I don't know what's left for." "Me," her voice cracked, but Luna licked her hand gently, her tail brushing the couch cushion softly. Claire tried to distract herself. She turned on the television, flipped through channels aimlessly, but nothing filled the empty silence in her chest. She made coffee, sat at the small kitchen table, staring at the steam rising from the mug. Feeling like she was watching someone else's life, Luna followed her every move. Quietly, patiently, like a silent shadow refusing to let her disappear. Around noon, there was a knock on the door. Claire hesitated. She wasn't expecting anyone. She opened it just a crack and saw her elderly neighbor, Mrs. Dwyer, holding a small plate of homemade muffins. Mrs. Dwyer smiled kindly and said, "I just thought you might like these." "You've seemed so quiet lately," Claire forced a weak smile. Thanked her and closed the door. She didn't mention the pills. She didn't mention the night before. She couldn't. As the day stretched on, Claire felt an unusual weight in the house. As if Luna's presence was magnified, the dog didn't leave her side. Not even for a moment. When Claire tried to retreat into the bedroom, Luna followed. When Claire sat on the floor, Luna sat right in front of her, pressing her warm body against her. Claire felt a strange pull in her heart, an awareness that Luna wasn't just acting like this out of routine. She was deliberately staying close, deliberately stopping her from slipping back into the darkness. By evening, Claire sat by the window, looking out at the neighborhood streetlights flickering on. She whispered softly, "I can't do this alone. I'm not strong enough." And for the first time in weeks, a single thought appeared in her mind, like a faint light in the dark. Maybe she didn't have to do it alone. Maybe someone out there could help. Luna suddenly stood up and padded over to the corner where Claire kept an old tote bag filled with miscellaneous papers. The dog pawed at it softly, then nudged it toward Claire, confused. Claire opened the bag and found a folded pamphlet. She didn't remember keeping. It was for a local support group for people coping with grief and depression. She stared at it, her fingers trembling slightly. Was this a coincidence? Or had Luna somehow known? She laughed softly, a broken laugh, and whispered, "You really don't give up on me, do you?" Luna wagged her tail gently, her eyes calm but steady. Claire set the pamphlet on the table and sighed. She wasn't ready to reach out yet, not fully, but she felt a seed of something new, a tiny possibility that maybe she could try the next day. She woke up early for the first time in months. The morning light filtering gently through the curtains, Luna was lying at her feet. Breathing softly, Claire sat up slowly, rubbed her eyes, and for a moment felt a flicker of something she hadn't felt in so long, purpose. She got dressed, made herself a simple breakfast, and for the first time in a long while, she opened the back door to let Luna into the small yard. She watched Luna run around, sniffing the frosty grass, tail wagging in that joyful, carefree way, and Claire felt her lips curve into the faintest smile. She realized that Luna had been waiting for this, waiting for Claire to look up and see that the world was still out there, still waiting that. Evening, Claire sat on the floor with Luna, scrolling through her phone absent-mindedly, and stumbled across an article about therapy dogs who visit hospitals and nursing homes, helping people in ways medicine couldn't. She read it slowly, feeling something stir inside her. She looked at Luna and whispered, "Do you think you could help someone else?" The thought lingered, like a whisper of an idea that might grow into something more over the next few days. Claire started taking small steps she never thought she would. She went for short walks with Luna, even exchanged brief smiles with neighbors. She picked up her sketchbook again, something she hadn't touched in years, drawing simple lines while Luna lay at her feet, watching quietly every evening. Claire would find herself talking to Luna, telling her stories, memories, even fears she couldn't tell anyone else. And every time, Luna just stayed there, listening with those soft brown eyes that seemed to understand everything. One afternoon, while they were on a walk near the local park, a young girl ran up to Luna and asked if she could pet her. Luna sat calmly as the girl wrapped her arms around her neck. The girl's mother smiled and said, "She's so gentle." "Is she a therapy dog?" Claire hesitated, then softly replied, "Not officially. But she saved me more than once," and in that moment, something shifted inside her. She realized that Luna wasn't just her dog. She was her anchor, her reminder that there was still life worth living. And maybe, just maybe, Luna could help others the way she had helped Claire that night. Claire sat at her kitchen table with her laptop, Luna curled up beside her, and she started researching. Therapy dog programs, training, volunteer opportunities, something she had never imagined doing before. The more she read, the more the idea grew. Maybe this was why she was still here. Maybe Luna had stopped her that night because her story wasn't over. Maybe there was still something she was meant to do. She didn't have all the answers yet, but she felt a pull towards something bigger, something beyond her own pain. And as she closed the laptop, she looked at Luna and whispered, "Maybe we can save someone else now." And Luna tilted her head, wagging her tail softly as if she already knew. But what neither of them realized then was that their journey was just beginning. Because what Luna was about to do in the coming weeks would not only transform Claire's life completely, it would touch the lives of others in ways that would ripple far beyond what anyone could imagine, and soon Claire would discover that the dog who saved her would become a hero for many more people who were silently fighting their own battles. And it all started with that one night when Luna refused to let her go. The weeks that followed felt like a slow sunrise, soft and hesitant. But undeniably there, Claire began to wake up with slightly more clarity, slightly more purpose. And every single day Luna was at her side, quietly reminding her she was not alone. Mornings turned into gentle routines. Claire would make coffee, eat a simple breakfast, and then leash Luna for their daily walks. What once felt like a heavy, meaningless task now carried the faintest spark of joy. She started noticing the world again, the way the early sunlight filtered through the trees, the way kids at the park laughed and ran, and how Luna always paused to greet strangers with that calm, knowing gaze that seemed to melt anyone's tension. One day, while walking past the community center, Claire saw a small flyer taped to the door. It read, "Therapy Dog Volunteer Orientation, this Saturday at 10 a.m. She stopped in her tracks, staring at it, her heart beat a little faster. Was this the universe nudging her? She crouched down, running her fingers along Luna's collar, and whispered, "What do you think, girl? Should we try?" Luna tilted her head, those soft eyes shimmering like they always did when Claire needed reassurance. So that Saturday, Claire put on her cleanest sweater, tied her hair back, and walked into the community center with Luna by her side. She felt nervous, her hands trembling slightly as she signed the sheet at the front desk. But Luna walked calmly, tail wagging gently, like she was meant to be there. The room was filled with a small group of people, all with their dogs, each dog different, but all sharing that same calm presence. The instructor, a kind woman named Karen with graying hair and a warm smile, greeted Claire and Luna. She knelt down to meet Luna's eyes and said, "This one has a very gentle soul. I can see it already," and Claire felt a rush of unexpected pride. They spent the morning learning about what therapy dogs do, how they visit hospitals, nursing homes, and schools to bring comfort to people who are struggling. As Karen spoke, Claire's mind drifted to the darkest night of her life, to the pills, the silence, and Luna's paw stopping her. If Luna could pull her back from that edge, maybe she could save someone else too. Over the next few weeks, Claire and Luna attended training sessions, learning how to remain calm in unfamiliar environments, how to approach people in wheelchairs, how to respond to sudden loud noises. Luna passed every test effortlessly, her calmness unshakable, her eyes always warm and patient, and finally, they received their therapy dog certification. Claire stared at the little badge they were given, a simple tag that said Certified Therapy Dog, and tears welled in her eyes, not from sadness this time, but from the overwhelming realization that they were truly moving forward. Their first assignment was at a children's hospital on the outskirts of the city. Claire felt nervous as she walked through the bright hallways. Luna by her side, the smell of antiseptic heavy in the air. She could hear the faint beeping of machines, the quiet murmurs of nurses. A volunteer coordinator led them to a room where a small group of children sat coloring at a table, some with 4 stands next to them, some wearing masks, their eyes tired but curious. When Luna entered, the room shifted instantly. A little boy with no hair from chemotherapy gasped softly and whispered, "Can I pet her?" Claire smiled. "Of course you can." And she guided Luna gently toward him. The boy's thin hands reached out to stroke Luna's fur. And for the first time in a long while, his face lit up with a real smile. The nurse standing nearby whispered to Claire, "He hasn't smiled like that in weeks." Claire's heart swelled. As Luna made her way around the room, she sat calmly beside each child, letting them pet her. Snuggle against her, some of the kids began talking, sharing stories about their pets at home. The air felt lighter, softer. And Claire realized Luna had a gift that reached far beyond what words could do. As they were about to leave, a nurse approached and asked, "There's one more patient. She's very quiet. She doesn't respond much. Maybe Luna could try." Claire nodded and followed the nurse to a small private room at the end of the hall. Inside was a little girl about 7 years old. Sitting in bed, staring out the window, her hands folded on her lap. She didn't turn when they entered. Her mother sat in the corner, looking exhausted. The nurse whispered, "She hasn't spoken since the accident that took her brother." Claire took a deep breath, crouched beside Luna, and whispered softly, "Go slow, girl." Luna stepped quietly toward the bed, sat down, and rested her chin gently on the edge of the mattress. The girl turned her head slightly, her eyes dull and distant. Luna stayed still, waiting. After a long moment, the girl slowly reached out her small hand and touched Luna's fur, her fingers lingering, and then, in a voice so soft it was almost a whisper, she said, "Hi," the mother gasped, covering her mouth, tears streaming down her face. She whispered, "She hasn't said a word in months." Claire felt her own throat tighten. As she watched Luna nuzzle the little girl's hand, the girl whispered again, "Hi," and this time, a tiny smile flickered on her lips. The mother broke down. Clutching her face, a silent sob shook her shoulders, and Claire realized in that exact moment that Luna was doing for others what she had done for her. She was pulling people back toward hope. Later that night, Claire sat on her couch, Luna resting beside her, and she whispered, "Do you know what you did today? You saved someone again." And Luna wagged her tail softly, curling closer into Claire's. Sighed. Over the next few weeks, Luna and Claire visited the hospital regularly. And each time they did, something small but powerful happened. A child laughed for the first time in weeks. An elderly patient whispered a memory they had been holding. Inside, a nurse smiled despite her exhaustion, and Claire felt herself healing too. Through helping others, she began to find pieces of herself she thought were lost forever. One afternoon, after a particularly emotional visit, Claire sat in her car, staring out the window, her heart full, but heavy with all the stories she had seen. And in that quiet moment she realized that Luna had given her something even greater than a second chance at life. She had given her a purpose she never expected to have, but what Claire didn't know was that this journey was about to lead to something even deeper. Something that would connect her past pain to a future she couldn't yet imagine. Because one day during a hospital visit, Luna would make a choice that would change not just one life, but an entire room of people, and it would leave everyone watching in awe, including Claire, proving once again that sometimes dogs know things about the human heart that we can't explain. And that was only the beginning of what was to come. The weeks rolled into months, and what had started as small volunteer visits soon became an inseparable part of Claire's life. Luna wasn't just a therapy dog now. She was a quiet miracle walking on 4 legs, bringing light into rooms where hope had been forgotten. Every visit seemed to uncover something new. A smile where there had been only silence. A soft laugh from a patient who hadn't spoken in weeks. A mother who finally felt she could breathe again just by watching Luna comfort her child. Claire watched all of this unfold and realized she wasn't just witnessing healing. She was healing too, piece by piece. Her heart that had once felt hollow and shattered now carried the weight of gratitude, of purpose, of love that reached beyond herself. One crisp morning, Claire and Luna arrived at the children's hospital earlier than usual. The hallways were quiet. Sunlight streamed through the windows. Casting golden lines along the floor, a nurse approached them, her eyes filled with relief. She said softly, "There's someone I think Luna needs to see today. It's a special case." She led them down a corridor Claire hadn't been before toward the pediatric ICU. As they approached the door, Claire could see a man and a woman sitting outside, holding hands tightly, their faces pale with worry. The nurse whispered, "Their daughter Lily. She's 6 years old. She's been here for months. She hasn't responded to treatment the way doctors hoped. And she's been so quiet, withdrawn. They think she's given up." Claire's heart ached. She crouched down to Luna and whispered, "Girl, you know what to do." Luna walked calmly into the room. Her paws silent against the sterile floor, Lily was lying in bed, tiny and fragile. Tubes connected to her, her eyes half closed, staring blankly at the ceiling. The air was heavy, filled with the soft hum of machines. Claire stayed by the doorway, watching as Luna approached slowly, gently resting her chin on the edge of the bed. For a long moment, there was no reaction. Then Lily's gaze shifted, just slightly, her dull eyes meeting Luna's warm, steady ones. Luna didn't move. She simply stayed there, still and patient, as if silently saying, "I'm here and I see you." The room fell silent, even the nurses. Outside peeked in to watch, and then something happened that made everyone hold their breath. Lily's small hand twitched, then lifted weakly, trembling. Reaching toward Luna's face, her fingers brushed against Luna's fur, and a whisper escaped her lips, barely audible, "Doggy." Claire felt tears blur her vision. The mother outside gasped and ran into the room. "Lily, baby, did you just speak?" Lily's lips parted again, and this time a soft smile appeared, faint but real. "Doggy," she said again, and her tiny fingers curled into Luna's fur. The machines beeped steadily, and the nurse put a hand over her mouth, whispering, "She hasn't spoken in weeks." The father stumbled into the room, falling to his knees beside the bed, tears streaming down his face as he gently stroked Lily's hair. Luna stayed perfectly still, letting Lily touch her, her warm breath steady, her eyes soft and calm. The room felt different now, lighter, as if Luna had opened a window in a space that had been suffocating with fear and despair. Over the next few days, Lily began speaking more softly at first, then more clearly. Her parents couldn't believe it. The doctors couldn't explain it. They said her vitals improved slightly. After Luna's visit, and more importantly, her will to fight returned, Claire and Luna visited her every day that week, and each time, Lily smiled wider, laughed softly, asked for stories, even sat up a little more. Luna would lay her head on the bed, staying close. As if she understood how fragile Lily was, Word of Luna's visit spread through the hospital. Soon patients from other wings requested to see her. Staff members whispered about the dog who could make even the quietest, sickest children respond. Claire watched it all unfold in quiet awe. Realizing that Luna wasn't just saving lives physically, she was touching something deeper in people, something medicine couldn't reach. One evening, as Claire and Luna were leaving the hospital, Lily's parents stopped them in the hallway. Their eyes filled with tears, but also with something else, hope. They hugged Claire tightly, saying, "You don't know what you've given us." She's talking again. She's smiling. We thought we'd lost her, and it's because of Luna. Claire couldn't find words. She simply smiled through her tears and looked down at Luna, who wagged her tail gently, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. In that moment, Claire understood fully that Luna had saved her life so that together they could save others. It was a circle of quiet miracles. Days turned into weeks, and Claire noticed how much she had changed. She was no longer the woman who sat in the dark, ready to give up. She was someone who woke up each day with purpose, with love, with a reason to keep going. She started writing again, journaling her days with Luna, even sharing small pieces online, and to her surprise, people began responding, saying her stories gave them hope, asking to meet Luna, thanking her for sharing the dog's gentle heroism. One evening, as Claire sat on her porch with Luna resting at her feet, she looked out at the sunset, soft orange and pink across the sky. She whispered, "I almost missed this, but you didn't let me. You stayed. And because you stayed, I stayed too," Luna lifted her head, those wise eyes meeting hers, and she leaned closer, resting her head gently in Claire's lap in the months that followed. Claire and Luna became a well-known therapy team in the community, visiting hospitals, nursing homes, even schools. Anywhere they could bring comfort, and everywhere they went, hearts were touched. Lives were changed in quiet, beautiful ways. Claire would often reflect on that one dark night when Luna pawed at her, how close she had been to disappearing. And she realized now that Luna must have sensed something beyond what humans could, something in her energy, her silence, her pain, and chose in that moment to save her, because Luna knew, just as she always did, that her story wasn't over yet. And now, as Claire walked into another hospital room, watching Luna bring joy to yet another person, she knew their journey was far from over, and maybe it never would be, because love like this doesn't have an end. It keeps moving forward, from one soul to the next, quietly rewriting lives, one paw at a time. And as the camera slowly faded out, you could see Luna lying peacefully beside a recovering child, their small hand resting gently on her fur, and you would know deep down that sometimes the greatest heroes don't wear capes. They simply sit beside you when you need it most, waiting patiently, loving quietly, and saving you without you even realizing it. So now I want to ask you, have you ever felt like your dog understood you in ways no one else could? Do you believe they can sense the things we can't? Share your story in the comments, because sometimes the quietest moments with them are the ones that change everything.